In my last episode, I broke down my personal everyday carry, what I keep on me, and why. But like I said then, that was just half the story. Today I'm going through what's in my Get Me to Safety bag, aka my EDC bag that goes with me everywhere. Some folks call it a Get Me Home bag, but for me, the goal isn't always getting home. What if home is compromised and I need to be able to get somewhere safe? This bag helps me make that happen. It's built for survival, for medical response, and for real world situations. Not social media, it's not fantasy, just what actually works when things go sideways. And if you're new here, I'm Jessie. I'm an EMT first responder, and I spent 4 years on a mountain search and rescue team, and I'm a military veteran. So let's take a look at what's inside my Get Me to Safety bag. Let's start with the medical and hygiene section of this bag. This is probably the most built out part of my bag, and for good reasons. I've got multiple sets of gloves, alcohol and iodine prep pads, neosporin, a few different types of masks, both N95 and surgical, and plenty of band-aids. Usually on the trail or, just the day-to-day stuff. I'm going to need a band-aid over anything else. I even carry hydroseal blister bandages because you never know when a hot spot is going to ruin your ability to move. I've also got honeypot wipes for feminine hygiene, wound closure strips, lens wipes, and a roll of Leuko tape, which I actually prefer over moleskin when it comes to blister protection. There's a sterile CPR mask with an extra set of gloves, and yes, 2 cat tourniquets, because 1 is none and 2 is 1. And I go for the orange just in case I'm in low light situation and I need to grab it out of my bag quickly. And I opted for orange because orange is easier to see in low light situations. Now, the one I carry on my person that's a little bit more visible will generally be black or a darker color, just for ease of movement and if you're in any sort of stealth situation. I also keep hand sanitizer, 2 versions actually, a small pump bottle and a tiny spray bottle. This was not on purpose, I just happened to have 2 of them. I also have more sunscreen, lotion, and a Boom Boom menthol nasal stick. The Boom Boom stick is basically Vicks Vapo Rub in a chapstick sized container because my allergies are awful in some places, especially in like San Diego or Northern Cali. All right, let's talk power. I carry a USB-C cable wrapped in Type 3, aka 550 paracord for backup, and I pair that with a Nitecore 20,000 milliamp hour carbon fiber power pack. I have 2 cell phones, and this thing charges them both fully charged from 0 with no problem. This thing is awesome. I only check the charge maybe once a month, and it's usually still holding strong. It's compact and it just works. For light and fire, I've got a black diamond headlamp. I like this one because it has different color modes and is also USB-C rechargeable. Then there's a Bic lighter in a waterproof case with some number 36 bank line wrapped around it. I also have a small Altoids tin too. Once the mints are gone, I repurpose it as a container. I usually make my own little fire starter candle. And as a final fire backup, I have some Survivorware waterproof matches. The summer in SoCal is usually no burn, so a lot of this stuff is phased out in the summer. But for now, I'm keeping all of this stuff in here as I slowly transition from my winter setup to my summer setup. Now onto the toolkit. I keep things compact but capable. My Leatherman ARC is in there with the extension and bit set. I also carry a small pry bar, 2 Knipex pliers, and a set of tweezers, and a foldable titanium utensil set from a brand called Navaris. I'll leave links to everything in the description. This utensil set is great, by the way. It's super light and easy to clean. Wrapped around a couple business cards, I've got duct tape, electrical tape, and some more cordage. Moving on from that, I like to keep writing gear in its own pouch, so I have a couple of black pens, a Sharpie, a red pen, a pencil, Post-its, and of course another Write in the Rain pen because you can never have too many of those. In here I also carry a set of Ranger pace beads. Those come with me on every hike. It's really important to me to really lock in my gait so I can keep count of how many of my steps equal certain distances, especially at varying elevations. This just improves accuracy should I need to triangulate my position or, determine how long it will take me to, say, get to a water source and if I'll be there in time for dark, for example. I usually also keep a flint and steel in here as I am transitioning from my winter to summer set, I've taken some of those things out. Then I pair all of this with my Sunto compass, which has a signal mirror. I also have a laminated topo map of my area, and for OPSEC reasons I won't show on camera.
It's a secret.
For cooking, I recently switched to the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. I used to use a Jetboil, which is great in the winter, but it's way too heavy in the summer. I already have a pretty heavy toolkit, so I have to trim off some of the weight in other areas, and one of those areas was my cooking set. The Pocket Rocket has a regulator and an igniter built in, and it fits my setup perfectly. I cook everything using a titanium pot from Evolve Supply Co. Shout out to Darwin on the Trail, it's his brand. This thing is light, sturdy, it comes with a handle so I can hang it over an open fire if needed. For food, I gave up on MREs, sorry folks. I'm not trying to punish myself out there. Now I carry a couple of Pinnacle Food meals. My go-to is the Italian sausage with the zesty tomato sauce. I also pack a couple fruit tea packs for comfort and a small pill box with my daily supplements. Quick shout out to this company, this brewing company who makes these like travel single serving teas. They also make coffees, which I've actually used all of them already. Phenomenal, tons of different varieties, and I'll leave a link to them in the description as well. Next up, shelter and seasonal gear. My go-to bivy is from Black Diamond. This one is yellow, not ideal, but you know, you roll with the punches. It's super lightweight, it sets up in seconds, and I would like to transition to a tarp, especially since I carry enough paracord already. So more to come on that as I slowly start that transition. I'm in no way a tarp pro. It's something I'll have to learn for sure. I also keep a SAM splint in the bag. Right now it's the 9-inch wrist version, but I usually have the larger one for leg injuries. The larger one right now is in my hiking pack at the moment since I'm preparing for a 3-day backpacking trip, but I'll leave a link to that in the description if you guys want to check that one out also. Next, I usually carry some sort of shamag or scarf. This one is from 511, which works as like sun protection, a scarf, a sling, a blanket, you name it. Next, I also rotate dry bags depending on the season. Usually smaller bags in the summer and a larger bag in the winter, especially in those transitional seasons like the fall and spring when it's going to be a little bit wetter outside, especially in SoCal, or in the winter when you get to certain elevations there is snow on the ground, so it just calls for a larger dry bag. Now, there are some things that I don't carry in this bag every single day. But when I do, or if I ever have to grab this bag, let's say out of my car to get to safety, I usually grab my Helco Work Hatchet 2. It's small, effective, and incredibly versatile. So if my car is compromised and I'm on foot, I will grab this out of my car along with the bag. And that kind of brings me to just a quick caveat here, a little side point, is while I do carry a lot of supplies on me, nothing will ever beat skill set. So I try to go out, once a month, twice a month, and honestly, as often as I can, just to do some bushcrafting, to learn how to make a fire with just my knife, to learn how to fish, depending on where I'm at, or just to live off the land a little bit, to understand what's edible out there and what plants can be used for medicinal purposes. So while having all of this stuff is nice, there's always the absolute worst case scenario, and that's it's just my person. It's just me, and I have to go be somewhere and survive. So my get me home bag or my get me to safety bag, my EDC bag, all of these things are just nice to haves. Now, for emergency self-recovery, especially in a vehicle scenario, I take a lot of windy back roads through mountain ranges, and worst case scenario is, God forbid, something happens and I'm veered off the road and happen to survive. I thought about potential self-recovery situations in this vehicle scenario. Again, the likelihood of these things happening to me in my personal situation is a little bit higher than the average person. So on the outside of my bag, I've got a Petzl carabiner, Black Diamond gloves, and a climbing harness. I keep the harness in my car. It's one of the other items I'll grab along with the hatchet. Now, I'm not a pro climber by any means, but I know the basics thanks to my time on the search and rescue team. And if I need to pull myself out of a situation, I've got the gear. It's better to have it than not have it is kind of my mentality here.
Mom always said it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
I even keep a Black Diamond grip strength tool in there, and that's mostly for entertainment, just kind of like having a fidget spinner, for example. I've been working on my grip strength. And finally, water filtration. My Grail water filtration bottle, I use this every single day, honestly. I just pour clean water into the bottle directly. But in an emergency, I can filter, let's say, creek water or lake water through it, fresh water, right? And if something goes sideways with that, I've got iodine tabs as backups. They taste absolutely fucking awful, but they get the job done. I just think happy canteen thoughts.
I'm gonna shit in your fucking canteen!
Now, before I wrap up, I wanted to take a moment to explain why there wasn't an episode last week. Last Monday marked the anniversary of the death of one of my closest friends, Johnny Moretti, and I wanted to take a second and tell you guys about him. He was a Marine. We met after he came home from the Marine Corps, and a few years later, I left for the military. And he was one of the few people who never stopped checking in on me. And if you served, you know how rare that is. It didn't matter where I was in the world, Johnny always checked in on me. He lost his sister around his time in the Marine Corps, and after she passed, he stepped up to help raise her daughter. 8 years ago, Johnny died in a car accident, and every year on May 5th, I usually take the day to honor him, usually by doing what we would have done together. I have a beer, I play his favorite song, Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. I used to make fun of him for loving that song. Now I wouldn't trade it for anything. So this one's for Johnny, and if you've had someone like Johnny in your life, someone who showed up, who stayed connected, who had your back, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Whether they're still here or not, their stories matter. All right, that's my Get Me to Safety bag. Real gear, real purpose, no fluff. If there's a piece of gear you want a closer look at, drop it in the comments. And don't forget, I'm starting to post gear review shorts, so keep an eye on that as well. Next time, I'll go through my full medical kit, which I keep in the car. This is a little bit more robust. It's a lot heavier. It's definitely not something that is as portable. It has things like my stethoscope and my blood pressure cuff and all that other stuff to do vitals. More so, I would probably call it a mass CAS kit, but again, I'll go through that in our next video. So subscribe, hit the bell, and as always, stay sharp, stay safe, and I'll see you on the flip side.